So fresh off his win in Alabama, Doug Jones, who is nobody's progressive, he ran a very, very centrist campaign and just happened to be paired up against a monster, Roy Moore. Now, it has not taken Jones very long to begin disappointing the progressive community, which, again, they were not super enthused about him. But, again, compared to what he was running against, well, he was actually a breath of fresh air. Oh, look at that, Alabama. We're going to have a Democrat in there that's not as bad as somebody who, like Roy Moore, who is deeply, deeply not only conservative, but fundamentalist, religious. Of course, he got kicked out from being a judge for not removing the Ten Commandments. So he had a lot of problems with not following secular law. He said a lot of troubling things about slavery, et cetera, right? So again, the guy's an absolute monster. And so even progressives are like, hey, man, look, it's a win. And now we're realizing that maybe it's not so much of a win. Let me explain. Now, again, he did not run as a progressive. He ran on a very centrist platform. And it's no surprise that, hey, look, he's looking to govern like one. He recently told CNN State of the Union, when asked if he will have to weigh voting with Republicans due to his state's strong Republican base, he says, quote, well, of course I do. Yeah, of course I have to consider voting like a strong conservative because that's what I was voted for. I mean, that's why I was voted in. I mean, you know, people want a centrist, right-wing, Democrat in Alabama. That's the only reason I won. No. In fact, he's like, earlier, and I don't know if it was in the same interview, but I think it was a separate interview, he said, hey, man, look, I would have beaten Roy Moore even without the sexual allegations. No. Actually, you wouldn't. Because, look, Roy Moore, as I said, as monstrous as he was, the people actually liked those policies. Well, what happened is that African Americans, and especially African American women and even white women, turned out because of the sexual harassment allegations. Turns out the Me Too movement is actually having, or the movement, is actually having a huge, huge impact in that race. That's what I actually believe. And I think there's a lot of polling that can back that up. But now, the thing is, right, again, the Republican base that he's talking about appealing to, right, and reaching out to, those are not the people that voted for you. Those are the people that voted for Roy Moore. Do you think you can actually, appeal to those people by being a centrist, milquetoast Democrat that actually doesn't stand for anything? By doing what? By doing more pro-business, pro-corporate policies? No, that's not going to get you anywhere. I mean, look, again, for the African American community, for example, what are you going to do for them, right? Are you actually going to be able to work on, poverty programs or anti-poverty programs that might actually help them, might actually help African Americans be able to open businesses and actually, prosper? I don't know. That's what's troubling. And look, if he doesn't do anything for the African American community, then guess what? They're not going to turn out for him again. And I think part of the reason that African Americans turned out so strongly as well is the slavery comments. Again, Roy Moore was a unique monster. So he's not another establishment Republican, which would have been Luther Strange. Now, Luther Strange would have beaten Doug Jones. I absolutely believe it. Because Luther Strange is your establishment Republican. Not a complete monster. Probably still uses those same sort of coded language for against African Americans. Oh, welfare queens, all that stuff. We got to cut entitlements and do all that stuff. So it's not out in your face about it. But make no mistake, he would have beaten Doug Jones. Absolutely, in my view. It's not the fact that he was a centrist. It's not why he won. But again, as you're going to see, he has completely lost that message. He said, I'm going to talk to people on both sides of the aisle, try to figure out what I think is the best interest of my state and in the country. Now, don't expect me to vote solidly for Republicans or Democrats. Centrist, mate. That's what he want. Oh, is this tax bill? Oh, I don't know. It helps the rich. Let me think about it. In fact, he did talk about that. Let me get to this quote here. He says, I don't buy into the fact that it's going to grow the economy such that the $1 trillion in debt will get wiped. I think that's a major problem. So he's like, oh, man, Republican tax bill. I don't know if I'm going to vote for it. I'll have to see how it turns out. But so far, I'm not quite convinced that $1 trillion is going to get wiped out. It's actually 1.5, and some experts are now saying in a new analysis that it's going to be around $2 trillion worth of debt. Wonderful. But don't worry, Doug Jones is on it. He's going to think about it. He's going to think about it. Oh. He said, we'll wait and see how it goes. We're going to start looking at it just in case I'm up there at a time. But it's a complicated bill. Yeah, it is complicated. Except that the whole purpose of the bill is that it's a gigantic transfer of wealth from the poor and the middle class to the incredibly rich. Incredibly rich. That is the entire purpose of the bill. Why can't Doug Jones just look at that and go, look, I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to make the rich incredibly rich. That's what this is all about. I vote no. That's not going to help my constituents. In fact, it's deeply, deeply unpopular with the people that voted for me. No, of course I'm not going to agree. Of course I'm not going to vote in favor of this piece of trash. This ridiculous pro-corporate bill. Are you kidding me? That's what Doug Jones should say. And you know what? His approval rating would probably shoot up. I can almost guarantee that. But no. Doug Jones says, I got to be centrist and I got to be partisan and I've got to respect the other side and give them a fair chance. I got to give them a fair shot. Do you ever see Republicans do that? Do you think Roy Moore, if he'd have won, said, I don't know, I'm going to have to wait on this tax bill? Do you think Luther Strange was going to say, I don't know, man, this might give a little too much to the rich. I'm going to have to take a minute to look at it. You think he would have done that? Absolutely not. He would have signed on. Day one. Oh, Republican tax cuts for the rich? Absolutely. I'm going to vote for it. 100%. Where do I sign? Where do I sign? My donors say I have to give this tax cut to the rich. This whole thing about, I'm being so unsure. A lot of it is this ridiculous political theater, right? That's what all this is about. Even for Doug Jones. Look, Doug Jones is not going to vote for this. Of course, he's going to play Democrats, right? He's an establishment Democrat. He's going to vote with his party. Most of his party says no. In fact, all the Democrats say no. But what he's doing is saying, look at me. I'm so moderate. I'm actually considering the other side. Again, that's not the way to get people on your side. It right now is, look, moderates they had a place in our political system. That time is not now. That place is not now. Okay? Our system is so far tilted to the right that we need to fix it by seriously pushing to the left. That way, we'll at least end up somewhere near the original middle. I hope. Although, I actually hope we go a little bit further to the left so we can actually get back to things like New Deal programs. A second economic Bill of Rights. Everybody's entitled to a job. Everybody's entitled to be able to survive in the richest country in the world. Everybody's entitled to health care. Doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter how much money you have. You're entitled to health care, a good education. That's where I want to end up. We're nowhere near that system. And look, people like Doug Jones, even people like Ralph Northam. Ralph Northam, so-called centrist, right? But he did run on protecting Medicaid. Guess what he's doing? He's supporting the cut to Medicaid. Centrists, man. Fucking centrists. Look, again, Doug Jones won't support this bill, right? Back to the tax plan. It's insane and deeply unpopular and actually won't stand up to the extreme right, right? So it won't help his constituency that voted him into office. Now, what effect is that going to have on the politics, right? Even if he doesn't vote for that, just saying he's open to it, you think that's going to excite the African-American wave that propelled him into office? You think that's going to excite anybody? No. Look, that's not going to happen if Doug Jones does little or nothing to try to help him. I mean, he's not putting forward their issues. What's the big issue with people? Stagnating wages, poverty, economic anxiety. There is actual economic anxiety. And I'm not talking about in Trump voters. No, Trump voters, it's been proven that it's mainly racism. But when you're actually looking at most of the American people, one of their biggest concerns is jobs. One of their biggest concerns is wages. How am I going to go and take care of my family? Am I going to get a job that's going to be able to pay the rent? Am I going to get enough wages to not have to get a second or third job? That's my concern. What is Doug Jones going to do about that? What is centrism going to do for that? Oh, little bits of incremental change here and there. Maybe eventually we'll get to a somewhat better system that is slightly just more improved for regular people, but still massively tilted towards the rich. That's what incrementalism gets us. It gets us almost nowhere. But then these politicians can sit back and go, mission accomplished. I give you 10% change, which is not anything that Doug Jones has even offered. And that's what's frustrating about this. Absolutely frustrating. Now, another thing, right, that Doug Jones is not doing. Recently, he said that it's time to look past President Trump's sexual harassment accusations. Really? So, again, women of color voted at 98% for Doug Jones. White women helped Jones carry the day against Roy Moore. What's one thing that women are really, really concerned with right now? Oh, right. The sexual harassment allegations, and even sexual harassment allegations against President Trump, which are credible. But here's Jones saying, we look forward, not backwards. No. Here's a quote. Let's get on with the real issues that are facing people of this country right now. And I don't think the president ought to resign at this point. We will see how things go, but certainly those allegations are not new. And he was elected with those allegations at front and center. What a strong politician. You can just feel the strength from Doug Jones. The strength of his convictions, man. You can just hear it. Boy, he's ready to fight for you if you're a woman. He's ready to fight for you if you're African American. He's ready to fight for you on all these different issues. Oh, wait, no, he's not. No. He's going to play go along to get along. He's going to play patty cakes with the Republicans. And the Republicans, they're going to stomp all over him. That's what's going to happen. I guarantee, at least right now, when Doug Jones comes up for re-election, he's going to get crushed by an establishment Republican. And then, all the pundits on TV, they're going to be, oh my God, what happened? Our centrist beloved Doug Jones, he got destroyed by an establishment Republican. I guess maybe Jones should have went further to the right. That is not what we're supposed to do. God, man, is anybody going to go left? And actually, look, I already know the answer to that question. Very few people on the Democratic Party and the establishment are going to go left. But you know what happens when we go left? We win. The Democratic Socialists of America picked up 15 seats during this last election. Virginia, we had a whole host of progressives, even people who call themselves openly socialist, running in these different positions, and they won. And they were winning. And they want to claim, the Democrats, oh, no. We've got to work with Republicans. We've got to work more with the Republicans. We've got to be bipartisan. We can't go left. No, we're not. No, people don't want us to go left. We have to go further to the right. We have to deal with the Republicans. No, man. And look, I'm not saying that there isn't a place for bipartisan solutions. Yeah, of course, if a Republican comes up with a fantastic idea, then yes, I will agree with it. I've given credit to Republicans who are like, hey, look, maybe we should do give an increase to the solar industry so we don't fuck up our planet. And actually, if we make a little money on the side, wonderful. That's the kind of Republican I can get behind, right? Who actually does something good and says, I can make a couple bucks off doing something good. Wonderful, right? But we don't live in that world. In our world, Donald Trump is president and corruption rules. We have no proper leftist party anymore. We need radical change. And the Doug Jones of the world are not it. They take the wrong lessons from the loss of Roy Moore. Yes, it is way better to vote for a centrist than a pedophile. But Jesus Christ, that does not mean that centrism is awesome. It doesn't mean that we should all vote for centrists. Centrism is not coming back. I'm sorry, it's not. It's over with. Our politicians need to get with the times or get left behind. I wonder which one will happen. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.